Welcome to Ghoulish Gab, always spooky, always under 7 minutes. Today we are talking about Wes Craven, the man, the legend. If you know horror, you know the name. You've seen something that he's done. So we're going to talk about some of our favorite Wes Craven movies. I want to start this off with one that a lot of people don't talk about, and that's Deadly Friend.
Okay, I haven't seen that one. I saw it on the list when I was looking them up, and I have that popped up. I have not seen it.
I forgot to make a note of the year, but it's early 80s for sure. And it stars Christy Swanson, K Swan as I like to call her. We're really tight. I know we're not. She doesn't know me. But they're like young adult teenagers, whatever, kids. And a boy, the girl is like the new kid in town, whatever. She gets ends up getting killed by her abusive father. And then so this kid decides to implant some kind of microchip in her brain. You know how 80s technology works in movies. Just you're dead, put a robot chip in your brain, you're gonna be alive. So then of course he kind of saves her, but at what cost? There's a very famous kind of death scene with a basketball in there. And if you're not going to watch the whole movie, just look up Deadly Friend basketball on YouTube and watch the death scene at least because it's just so ridiculous that it's awesome. I love it.
Love that. I would watch that. 1991's. This is one of my favorite movies in general, not just Wes Craven, but 1991's The People Under the Stairs.
Mhm.
Uh, that's probably one of the movies that actually got me more into choosing to watch horror on my own. Uh, it's got, for those of you who don't know, the basic plot is this character Fool lives in these apartments that him and his family are getting kicked out of. His mom has cancer. And so he gets involved with these people, one of them being Ving Rhames' character, Leroy. And they have to break into this house to steal the riches. And they're the landlords of the house they're getting kicked out of. Um, and it turns out that these people are terrible and have a bunch of kids that they've kidnapped and they're cannibalistic living under the stairs in the basement. And they have
Typical landlord.
typical landlord bullshit. And, and I don't know, I don't even know that it's that good of a movie. I don't know if it's just the nostalgia or if it is that good. I love it so much. And then as a child, I had a big crush on Roach, played by Sean Whalen. I know it makes no sense. I've talked about it on my podcast, but I had such a crush on him. So everybody watch it and then marvel at how gross I am for young Kayla having a crush on the character of Roach, who lived in the walls and had his tongue cut out.
I'll just shame you off screen. I won't do it here. The next one I want to talk about is Swamp Thing. I guess I forgot to write down the year for all of these, but another 80s Wes Craven film. Adrienne Barbeau and Ray Wise are in it. And if you're a lot of people are probably familiar with the character of Swamp Thing. It was a comic book. He's been a fairly popular character. It's, a guy gets into an accident and he becomes a swamp creature and fights eco-terrorists and things like that. It's a cool movie. It's a very nice looking movie. Like all the swamps, that they shot it in, everything looks really good. The script gets a little dry here and there, to be completely honest, but it's also one of those movies that I kind of grew up with it too. It was on cable TV a lot when I was younger, and you're just like, oh, look at this cool swamp monster going through the swamps and doing crazy shit. But looking back on it now, it's still a pretty good movie. It's got its high points and a couple low ones, but absolutely worth checking out if you haven't.
Especially when you see some of those movies where a lot of like, if it was made now, it'd be made with like almost purely CGI effects. So it's cool to see
Yeah,
how good they were able to do with the practical effects.
exactly.
Uh, 2005's Red Eye
Oh,
with Rachel
yeah.
McAdams and Cillian Murphy, which
Completely forgot about that movie.
I was obsessed with it for like the year it came out. I think I saw it in theaters 3 times, which you'd be surprised because once the plot twist is twisted, you're like, oh, I should. But I thought it was really well done. And as a woman who could travel on my own, potentially very terrifying. Now, granted, I have no worldly connections that would put me in a situation where I would be involved in political terrorism, but it's
You never
still.
know.
So for those of you who don't know, basically this woman is traveling. She's like a high-end hotel manager, and a political figure is staying at her hotel, and she's just sitting on the plane chatting with the person in the seat next to her. And it turns out he's going to kidnap her and try to make her help him kill a political figure. It sounds like it's more, well, it is more thrillery. It's not really horror, but it's scary and it'll get you going, and it has a happy ending.
Aw, that's wonderful. The last one I want to talk about here is Shocker, real quick. That's gotta be the 80s as well, too, probably in the later 80s. A serial killer, his name is Horace Pinker. So that's a terrifying name, let me tell you that. He gets the electric chair, but he survives through electricity, and now he's got electricity powers. And, it's just a typical 80s slasher type thing. He has to go after he's going after the football player who turned him in or something for being a serial killer, because that's what you do when you're survive the electric chair. But
If I had magical shocking powers, that's the first thing I'd do.
that one's got a straight up butt rock soundtrack too. That's kind of actually got some fun songs to listen to. We're out of time for today. Tell us some of your favorite Wes Craven movies in the comments. A Nightmare on Elm Street and Scream are probably going to be your number two, but tell us about some of your other ones, and tell us if you've seen any of the movies that we talked about.